Who was?
Now I'm a very, very lucky chap. My two grandchildren came last Saturday and Grandad, come on, let's take you back to your old village where you was bred and born, up to the Fountain, where their great-great-grandfather had the pub there from 1903 onwards, so we go back to reminisce. Anyway, I take them back there, and just for argument's sake, took us around the church, first of all, because they were christened there. And there's 67 of my relations in there, if you look in the records, in the St James's Church. And because we go back to the 14th, my family, and the church is 12th. And there's this place there left for me there, next to my mum and dad. And then we go off to the Fountain Inn, what they had. And to my absolutely amazement up there, the things which they don't really know about. In what was their stable and their cow shed is now where they eat in, now in the restaurant. And along on the top wall there, over all the beams, reaches about from that end there up to about that, just past the clock up there. On the wall there's a triangled, what we called a Shandy Barrow. Anybody know what a Shandy Barrow is? No, I don't think anyone. Write
it down. Write it down and then we'll all know it.
Yeah,
Shandy Barrow.
Write it in your book.
Shandy Barrow. Yeah, I know I'm nattering on a bit, but what I wanted to do was my two grandsons, so they could carry on the tradition and know what it is. Now up there then, this old kiddie here, old Len Pellin, who's there, and that's where I got a lot of my songs from and all the rest of it. He lodged in Fountain for 40 years, never did get married, etc. But what a lovely man he was. There was nothing he can do with Edge Lane fashion or anything. And him and I were the last ones that used the Shandy Barrow up there. Now, the Shandy Barrow, just to quickly go back there, when we used to sew the seed up from a biddle round your neck, first of all, to go around through that, so then they modernised it and they brought out this thing called a Shandy Barrow. It's like a wheelbarrow, sorry, like a wheelbarrow, with a big iron wheel in the front, two handles on it. And then this triangle, I think, as I say, reach that, if you're facing this way, reach from there, and that would take a cant right the way up through, because there are little holes in it where you could just dial on what you wanted for how much seed to go out as you push the barrow up through. And of course it was too heavy for a man just to push on his own, so you had a boy like me with a rope around your back, around your front one, pulling it, or a langrel later on when the langrels come around, and therefore you pulled it across the fields, and that's how you put your seed down. And that was called a Shandy Barrow. And if you go in the Fountain Inn at Ashurst, and they just don't know what it is. But I told the bloke landlord, I said, for God's sake, don't get rid of it, because there's very few of them left of it. So there we are. And telling them all about that, and then I thought, well, that reminded me of the village where I was bred and born, so I'm going to sing a song now called The Village. Oh, sorry on that on a bit, but I think it's a lot of things. Why do they call it Shandy Barrow? I didn't tell you that. It's because the chap who was doing it, because we had plenty of beer in them days from the fountain, from the inn, and they used to he used to have the beer, but the boy in front wasn't allowed to drink beer, so he'd have Shandy. Shandy Barrow. And that's why it's called there. And I don't think you'll find one anywhere else around. And if you go in there, they won't know what it is anyway. But no, they wouldn't know what it was. And this one is called The Village. Well, I've travelled the world, that's what people say. Funny how life just slips away. But I know that I will go back someday to that village where I went to school. Now in the playing field stands a large oak tree. It's been growing longer than you and me, where I carved my name for all to see. Naughty boy, no, I got the cane for that, I did. In the village where I went to school. Now we'd sit in the class on a cold winter's morn. Sometimes we'd wish that we'd never been born, in second-hand clothes, sometimes tattered and torn, in that village where I went to school. Then down the army camp there were searchlights and guns, which swept all the skies to search for the Hun. And when the bombs come down to the shelters we ran, in that village where I went to school. Now, the village where I went to school. I've lost myself now. No, there we are. Now, I get back home, I reminisce, and I look around for all the things that I miss. And when the sun gets up, I blows a kiss to the village where I went to school. Now down the village hall we all learned to dance, and some of the lads were sent to France. But before they went there was romance in that village where I went to school. So where are the lads that went over the sea? Do they ever come back to the village like me? For the smell of the bread from the old-fashioned shop, the old-fashioned mill where we played a lot, and the blacksmith's old horses went clippity-clop, Mr. Barnes his name was, in that village where I went to school. And like the old fountain in the village goes on, some folks goes old but others have gone. Now 2 fields north my mum and dad built their nest, and 2 fields south they both are at rest in that church and the school where they tried their best, in that village where I went to school. Now when I get back home, as I said, I reminisce, and I looks around for all the things that I miss. And when the sun gets up, I blows a kiss in that village where I went to school. Then I looked around and I found my wife, and we have our share of trouble and strife. But with her I shall spend the rest of my life in that village where I went to school. And it's there I shall spend my eternal life. Yes, Ashurst, the village where I went to school.